Hey everyone, and welcome back to At the Peak, where we talk about all things family, fitness, kettlebell training, home workouts, hiking, dogs, all the good stuff, yeah? And in today's episode, what I want to talk about and bring up is intermittent fasting and the issues with intermittent fasting and how it's just not for everybody. And for those that do not know what intermittent fasting is that when you have a controlled window of eating. So like you would only eat from 12 o'clock midday to like 8 o'clock at night. And then after 8 o'clock at night, you're not allowed anything else except water that can like break fast or anything like that until 12 o'clock the next day. And it is a timing to restrictive window, which works to some degree. Now, I wouldn't say there's anything magical about intermittent fasting. I know it does have its benefits and it works well for certain people. But I think there is a group of people that it's definitely not for, that I don't think it would work the best for. So the people that I would quickly say that intermittent fasting would work for are people that are severely overweight, quite obese, metabolic health is absolutely knackered, and you're like pre-diabetic or whatever. You guys could really benefit from having that controlled eating window to try and get the calories under control, because that is the main thing about intermittent fasting, is that it is a great way and a great tool to do calorie controlled eating. So like you can't, if you've only got for like 8 hours or 6 hours to eat in your window and you stick to that consistently, you're going to find it very hard to overeat the calories you need during that day. So like it's a calorie control window for people that are really looking for some sort of accountability, saying, oh, well, I'm going to stick to it consistently. I'm not going to eat from this time to this time. And that is a great way of calorie controlling, to try and get yourself in a calorie deficit, to lose some weight, to try and shift some weight, get yourself on a better positive track. Other people, if you really struggle to eat your morning meal, you just don't fancy it, you just can't eat it, stomach it, it's just not for you, because I know there is a lot of people that just do not do well off a morning meal, even though I do recommend that you get your most amount of protein in that morning meal. Some people just can't. And then there's other people where work-life balance, kids, school, and all these other things that just get in the way. And if you seem to think that consistently you can do an eating window like between this time and only eat from then and not eat from then to then, and it works really well for you and your lifestyle, then have at it. You guys could really do well off intermittent fasting. And obviously they claim like the benefits of it, that it allows your gut to reset everything. You can just utilize everything that you've eaten and make some good progress. And again, but I think the magic thing to it is that it puts you in a calorie controlled way of eating, so you can't overeat, and you've got to be more thoughtful with your meals and things like that. So I think there's some like the great benefits and who they could work for. But there's definitely a group of people that like intermittent fasting just doesn't work for. And I think the group of people that this is really aimed at is it like people where their perception of what they're trying to achieve is a little bit warped. It's wrong. They're not thinking along the right path to achieve their outcomes, their goals, right? So unfortunately, I think intermittent fasting and the information around it does tend to get pushed onto women a little bit more than men. So it's women that seem to fall into this same trap, and it's the women, unfortunately, that I see following this information, and it's not doing them any favours. It's doing them a disservice, if anything. So the people that I think that intermittent fasting's not going to really work for, especially as a consistent way of eating over a long period of time, is the people that are starving themselves, doing intermittent fasting, still not eating within their eating window or eating properly or fueling themselves properly, and then waking up in a fasted state and going and doing HIIT workouts, because they have been led to believe that working out in a fasted state will burn more fat. That is incorrect. Working out in a fasted state will not, I repeat, will not burn more fat, because most people that work out in a fasted state, it's usually HIIT programs or things like this, or whatever program they're following. It's usually quite intense, because that's what they've been led to believe, that they've got to get some intensity in, which is correct. But the correct form of intensity is important here. So like they've been led to believe that if they fast from this amount of time, they cut their carbs and their calories right down, and then they go and do this HIIT workout, they will lose weight. And I say weight like that because weight can mean absolutely anything. Weight doesn't mean fat. Like they've been led to believe that they will burn more fat if they're doing intermittent fasting. Not true. Not true at all. So when you come to do a HIIT workout, it will skip fat. Fat takes a long time to break down and utilize as an energy source before it gets converted for you two guys to use. It does it very slowly. Fat's not like an immediate source of energy. So if you go and do a HIIT workout, you're not really going to utilize fat much in your workout. If anything, you're going to use the carbohydrates and the glucose. But if you're in a fasted state and you've starved yourself, you don't have much glucose to go at. You've already depleted these stores. So it's going to start eating away at lean muscle mass. Now, when you wake up in a fasted state anyway, you are already in a catabolic state, meaning you're breaking things down, and it's already going to be slowly deteriorating away at the lean mass, which is something that you don't want to occur. You need more lean body mass than you need lean muscle mass. You need more of it, especially if you are a woman. Like, you don't want to be breaking that down. So what happens is, you wake up, you're in a fasted state, you're in a catabolic state, you're breaking down lean muscle mass, and then you've got this mindset that you're going to go and do a HIIT workout to try and burn more fat. You will do this like absolute crazy workout in a fasted state and then not eat again up until like 12 o'clock or whenever you've decided that your eating window is going to occur. Like you're just going to be even more catabolic than you was before. Like you're just going to break everything down. So like catabolic state, workout, where's it getting its fuel from? Because you've got no energy, you've got no glucose because you've depleted it all in your fasted state for whatever reason. You've not given your body the right nutrients and fuel that it needs during the day in your eating window, and you haven't had like a sufficient amount of protein. Like, where's it going to get its fuel from? It's going to start breaking down lean body mass, and we know that if you've got less lean body mass, you're more susceptible to you're just more susceptible. Obviously, sarcopenia happens anyway as we age. You need to try and offset that, but you're more susceptible to like insulin resistance and all sorts of other like negative health impacts can come with having less lean body mass. That's not something that we want to promote. So for you guys that are thinking that you need to burn more fat in a fasted state, you're thinking about this the wrong way. Like, you're going to do yourself a little bit of a disservice in the long run, because again, you're just going to eat away at lean body mass, and you're going to make yourself lighter, yes, but at what cost? Like, you're lighter because you've lost more muscle. That's not good. Less muscle, lower metabolism, less calories you've got to go at. You need muscle for later life to delay the onset of like sarcopenia. Muscle helps with everything else. Like, muscle is an absolute reservoir for glucose to get dumped, which is going to help with like insulin sensitivity and regulation. You need muscle mass and all them proteins to build it, and all the amino acids to help with like hormonal regulation. You need the fats to help with all this regulation and things like this. So like, the people that I don't recommend intermittent fasting for are people that have got the mindset of they are going to burn more fat in a fasted state, because it's not true. You'll skip the fat source process and you'll go to something else, because we have different levels of what we do. So like very like low intensity, steady state, gradual stuff, and throughout the day at rest, you're more likely to be using like a fat source. So you will start oxidizing the fat stores to supply that. When you step that intensity up a little bit, you do some resistance training. You start doing a running, you start doing a bit of a HIIT workout or a circuit, you're going to start using like carbohydrates, you're going to start using glucose more. When you skip this and you do something like that is anaerobic, where you are sprinting flat out like 100-meter races and stuff like this, or you're doing like 1-rep maxes where you're not taking a lot of oxygen, you're going to skip that, and you're probably going to go to a high system, the creatine phosphate system, which is, but you deplete that really quick. And then the next one that you deplete quicker is like your glucose and your carbohydrate system. The one that takes a long time to deplete is your fat stores, and fat stores will generally come into play if you're doing like steady state exercise over a long period of time. So let's shift the mindset from fasting, and let me tell you why, what you need to do this, right? If you just take a step back, if you do want to train in a fasted state, which I've got no problem with, but you need to be doing it right. Like, you can't just go into it with absolutely nothing, because you've already woken up and you're breaking down lean muscle mass. We need to find a way to offset that lean muscle mass. So what I recommend is you get yourself a really clean protein powder of some form. Look, do your research into it. But what I do highly recommend is that you take some essential amino acids. And basically all proteins are essential amino acids. Everything is made up of essential amino acids. Muscles don't use the proteins, like it uses the amino acids within the proteins. Do you see what I'm getting at? So if you wake up and you have the essential amino acid drink prior to a workout, that is going to at least, at the very minimum, offset all the muscle deterioration that's going to happen during the workout, and it's at least going to spare some muscle mass to at least give you a chance to that when you do fuel your body properly with the correct nutrients, you've not broken down too much muscle mass. It's going to try and at least save what's there without diving into it too much, and then you can like refill yourself later on with whatever you need. So I do recommend, if you are training in fasted state, I do highly recommend that you look into getting the essential amino acid powders and stuff like that to at least offset the muscle loss that's going to occur. Okay, and so anyway, what I want to suggest to the people that have got this mindset of trying to lose fat via intermittent fasting and HIIT workouts, I want you guys to shift your perception on this, right? What I want you guys to do is to wake up and fuel your body properly with some protein, some like healthy fats, a little bit of carbs, something like that. Fuel your body properly, whether or not it's with a shake or just something in your system. And then I want you to go in and put in a hell of a good workout. And I don't mean like HIIT doing crazy stuff. You can do like a kettlebell circuit, strength training, do something to really build some muscle mass. Like really try and stimulate some muscle protein synthesis, try and break some muscle mass down to like create that repair process. And you can do this by grabbing a kettlebell, doing it in your front room, and just like doing squats, full body movements, clean snatches, squats, presses, windmills, all the different things that you can do with a kettlebell in your own home, right? If you don't want to go to a gym, you just grab your kettlebell, do it at home. But the most important factor is when you're doing any training is that you have sufficient intensity. And I don't mean like going balls to the wall and killing yourself. Really pushing yourself to like getting sort of like 3 reps out to failure in every single set. Like you do a set and you sort of get to like them last few reps and you think, oh God, this could be a little bit tough. I want you to do that sort of like 3 or 4 times round. Like if you're doing squats, get to squats where it were like a push to get them last few reps out, do another set, push to get the last few reps out, and then do another set, push to get the last few reps out. Them last few reps is where it's all going to count. Like if you're just squatting with like for 10 reps and it would just like super piss easy, you're not really going to stimulate much. Yes, you're moving, which is great, but you're not really going to stimulate any like muscle breakage or anything like that. You're not going to stimulate anything. So what you need to do is you need to push yourself within your workouts. And then once you've done these workouts, you need to go and fuel yourself properly. So people are backwards a little bit on their thought process. So like you guys that are just out there wanting to lose weight and as much weight as possible, you say you start out at like 1200 calories, right? That's what you're eating to maintain your current body weight, right? So you do your intermittent fasting, you do your HIIT workouts, and then you've like dropped your calories down to 1,000 calories a day, which isn't a lot. Again, these numbers are like accurate to anybody. They're just like there as, they're just there as an example. So now you're at 1,000 calories and now you want to get lighter. Like now you're down 800 calories because that's what it takes to maintain your current body weight. Like where do you go from there apart from like starving yourself? You've got nowhere to go. You've got no scope, nothing to play with. So like doing that is not a long-term sufficient goal. Like, and all you're going to do is eat away at more muscle mass, and it's going to absolutely naff you up in later life. So what I suggest is you start out at 1,200 calories. You sufficiently fuel yourself for the workout that's about to happen. You push yourself in that workout to try and build some strength and muscle mass so you can put 100% effort in. If you're fasted and you've got no energy source to go out, you're not going to put in the effort, but you're also going to break down muscle mass. So you're not really going to gain much. Go into your workout fueled and ready. Put in the work to build some strength and muscle mass. And now say like over time you've put on say like 3 to 4 pounds of muscle, new lean muscle mass, but that scale's gone up in weight. But your dresses feel better, you feel better, you've slept better, you can move better, everything else is better. These are all great metrics to go on other than the scale. But like I say, the scale weight's gone up, but that could be lean muscle mass, but not body fat. Great, we're on the right track. So now, to maintain your new level of lean body mass, you need to eat more calories. You need to eat 1,400 calories, right? Rinse and repeat. Build more muscle mass, get some strength gains, dresses are feeling better, you're feeling good, everything's moving better, you're sleeping better, your attitude, your mood, and everything is better. But you haven't gained any fat, but you've gained muscle. Perfect. We've gained more muscle. Now we can go up to 16 or 1800 calories just to maintain the new level of muscle mass that we've got, which means we've got more calories to work at, more food to eat. You need to eat more to maintain the muscle, but you're not getting fat. So we're on the right track. You've got more muscle, which is great for your metabolic health. Having more muscle means your metabolism will be higher. Having more muscle means you've got a bigger reservoir to dump like glucose into and store it for later, which means it's not going to be in your blood, which means it's going to be better for insulin sensitivity, making you less insulin resistant. And having more muscle mass only helps with, like I've said it 1,000 times, how many benefits it has. It's going to help you again in later life. It's going to delay the onset of sarcopenia. You're going to be stronger all the time. You're going to be able to carry the kids, the shopping, push the pram, go hiking. All the good stuff that you need to be doing, it is all going to come with more muscle mass. You can have more energy, and it's just going to be a much better way to go at. And if you eat more calories, eating more food actually increases your metabolism, because it's the metabolism is like the everyday process of doing everything that you've got. And again, like having more protein in your diet, protein has the highest thermic effect of food, meaning it costs actual more calories to break down and consume it and do what it needs to do. Now, again, that's very marginal. It's not like the thing, but it's like one little piece of that like huge picture. Do you know what I mean? So I think you need to shift your focus. So again, I've told you the guys that I do not think it's beneficial for is the people that have got it in their head that they want to lose more fat. That's not the correct way to go about it. And people that just want to lose as much weight as possible and they're training so hard in a fasted state, I think you're putting yourself in a worse position later on down the line. So what I recommend is what I've just said. You fuel your body properly, you put in the effort during your workouts, you walk 3 times a day and you walk daily, and you fuel your body properly with the right nutrients. You have plenty of protein to go at. You can keep your carbs relatively minimal because you don't need to overeat on carbohydrates if you do not want to. And keeping healthy fats within the system. And again, all this is going to do later down the line is just give you that absolute endless count of benefits that come with gaining muscle mass and strength as you age. It delays the onset of sarcopenia. It's just better for everything else. Okay? So I think that's why the people that are going like the fasting in that sort of thought process, they're just going to absolutely screw themselves up. And unfortunately, I do see it more in women's magazines. Like the programs and stuff that I see on like the DVDs are aimed at that, 30 days shred with fasting, doing HIIT workouts. You're going to lose weight, don't get me wrong, but how much of that weight is lean muscle mass? And that's just going to naff you up later on. It's not actually going to be fat. And like I said, fat you utilize at a lower steady intensity anyway. So like they haven't really told you what you need to be doing there. Right, guys. So if you want to get into kettlebell training and you want to do it at home and you want to follow some really good information, then we have all of this in the Peak Resilient membership. Like we've got different kettlebell programs in there. All the podcast episodes go up early in there, and all the information's in there. And there's a great community of like-minded people that we're trying to build up, and you'll have direct access to like me, like in the community chat and things like this. Like, get yourself some proper information. Follow somebody that knows what they're on about and not just telling you to diet, cut, fast all the time. It's not for everybody. You need to pick and choose who it's going to be most beneficial for. And that is going to wrap it up for this episode today, guys. I hope you found some useful information. I hope you found it beneficial. And if you did, please do leave a like, a subscribe, and all that good stuff, all the YouTubey stuff, and do whatever you need to do on all the other platforms. So yeah. Please, guys, thank you for watching. I hope you found it interesting. Leave your comments and questions down below, and I will catch you guys in the next one.